Hey everybody, it's Bust, and today we're doing Battle in Wild with Treant Druid. And so I made mention in our first video, we were playing Token Druid in the Twist Commons format, that the deck I had the most success with in my olden days, about 5 years ago when we were really grinding Hearthstone, was with the Tokens Druids deck. Now the deck way back then, to give a bit of throwback to the times of old, was looking to use living mana. So you transferred all of your mana crystals into 2/2 Treants, and then you got the mana back when the unit died. The way that you would get maximum usage out of the living mana was then to play Savage Roar, right? So you would give all of your characters +2 attack for the turn. But times have changed. Things have gotten better. The old cards, not so good as they get power crept on as time moves forward. And today we're taking full advantage of that with the Treant Druid. I was curious if a deck like this existed, and it does. It's currently, I'm not certain looking at the stats if it's the most played deck, because I haven't run into other people playing it, but excuse me, I'm pretty certain it's the highest win rate deck running around, and it shows. This deck is fucking bonkers, and I've had loads of fun coming out playing it, both in terms of power level, and it's very cheap to get together, and so a very interesting deck to be calling out in this space. So the big thing to take focus of is going to be the card Cultivation. This is the new Savage Roar, if you will. It gives all of your minions +2/+2, but it costs 1 less for each Treant that we've summoned across the game. Essentially, what's going to happen with Cultivation is it's going to cost between 0 and 2 mana, and then it's going to give us a nice 14 attack boost onto the board. But it's not just the Cultivation that's been added to this point in the game. The other big combo card with it is going to be Summer Flowerchild. And so with this battle cry of draw 2 cards that cost 6 or more, we only have 2 cards in our deck that cost 6 or more. We're going to be highly likely to draw these Cultivations. The only other expensive spell we're playing is Life from Death, which typically just draws 3 cards for 1 mana. And so this is the big top end. These are the things that we're looking to build around. All we need to do is get a bunch of cheap Treants into our deck, and we're going to be good to go, right? Absolutely right. Bust, your spot on. And so we do have quite a handful of Treants in here. The Blood Treant, which is going to come down for free. Things like Forest Seedlings that will summon 2. Witchwood Apple that generates the Treants. And then the kind of more classic cards like Soul of the Forest that give our units the Death Rattle to summon a Treant. And so we're going to be coming out here, getting as wide as we can, trying to drop this Soul of the Forest. Then we can sacrifice off those units, recover them back with the Death Rattle to get a Treant, but then the Treant also ties back into this Cultivation. Very powerful combo, very powerful collection of cards. Otherwise, some things to kind of call out with the things we have going on here. Plot of Sin is a very early game centric and powerful Treant card, very often giving us these 2 5/5s for 3 mana. Very good deal there. And then I've also been quite a fan of the minimal burn package, if you will, with both the natural causes being able to deal damage and living roots also being able to deal damage to give us that last little bit of reach should we need it to finish off the game. And so that is the deck. That's what we're doing battle with today. Let's go ahead, jump on into that queue, see if we can't get a good game or 2 in. And so, yeah, man, whenever we talk about these trees, it immediately reminded me. There's, of course, the famous quotes from Clerks 2 as to describing the Lord of the Rings movies. It's just 3.5 hours of walking. Even the fucking trees walked into that movie. it reminded me. We actually, me and my wife watched Lord of the Rings, the entire trilogy, a few weeks ago, a couple weeks ago maybe. But it brought this interesting, questionnaire into your relationship status, if you will. Hang on, let me check this hand real quick. As far as this hand goes, we're always keeping Blood Treants. Sow the Soil can go. This is kind of a flex card that we're not really looking to start with, but it fills a lot of curve necessity should we need it. I think we're fine with the Zombie and the Treant, and then we'll try to cycle into more appropriate early game cards. But no, back to the non-gaming. I thought this was interesting. And so as we pull up the Lord of the Rings, we decide that we're going to watch it. Looking through HBO Max, they have all of the options, right? You can get the theatrical release or the extended cut. And so I asked my wife, I said, which one do you want to watch? What do you think we should see? And of course, the answer you're expecting to immediately hear is extended cut. I'm in for 4 hours of movie today. But her response was the kind of questionable, how long is it? And I was like, we're kind of coin flipping from here. This doesn't sound like it's going to be the answer we want to hear. and she gave it a she gave it a ooh, that's a little bit too long. Let's do the theatrical release. And so I can't fully trash on her decision making there, but you know, it's a little questionable. It's a nice, you know, relationship question though. How do you how do you feel we should go with the Lord of the Rings? Are we going OG or are we going extended cut? And I don't know. You probably want that extra 45 minutes of trees walking in there, and so I was surprised she said no. But then we did kick it back. She hadn't seen the Hobbit series either, and I'd seen it. I was very not impressed with the Hobbit. It's not bad. It's just fucking boring, and yeah, that was where we kind of left it. It was like, do you want to watch the Hobbit? And it's kind of like, eh. And she's like, ooh. It was the reverse of the previous, but you know, at the end of the day. We watched the first Hobbit, didn't watch any further. But all right, carrying on back into the action here. Lord of the Rings all aside, I assume the opponent's going to try and do something with the foul leg, but they haven't really built up to whatever it is. So I feel like we're getting a pretty reasonable collection of units on board. He's going to have to invest quite a bit to get these things down. And then we are in a fairly safe space to just come out and throw things away, right? We're going to be very close to getting the infuse on the Plot of Sin. We'll get the infuse on the Life from Death. And that's kind of what I'm interested in when we want to come and take down this death rattle off of the board. And so we can look to do it this turn, right? If you're not familiar with infuse, it upgrades after X minions die. So once 2 more minions die, this thing will upgrade from generating 2/2s to 5/5s. And so this to me looks like the kind of time to where we would like to go ahead and start doing that. So we'll let him get the chicken on board now, remove it, and we'll get the infuse on the Plot of Sin. So unfortunately, 1 away from the Life from Death. We didn't quite get to spend the entirety of our mana here getting this thing in for free, or getting this thing in for 1, I should say. That's okay. We'll make it. Got a lot of big boys coming up here soon. Reasonable enough turn for the Summer Flowerchild. I don't feel like we really need to just get the Aerosoiler on the board. We can just go ahead and pick up the Cultivation, see how many turn up, I guess. And then I'm fine to just slim into face. So the Cultivation is costing 2 at the moment. Very close to getting it down for free. I don't think these plagues are the answer, my dude. Oh man, we got a kitty one to hang out too. Let me finish this game off here real quick. Get our Cultivation in. Zing him. Right to the face. GG. Now he's walking away. It's the dumb cat. Here, come on, bud. You want to be on the internet today? He's a smart creature. We passed on Valentine's Day here recently. I meant to remind you all that Valentine's Day was coming up, and to not forget about it, and to make a card or make a purchase or whatever you need to do for that significant other in your life. But I got the wife some flowers, and this fat ass likes to eat them, and so he's right here. He goes. He's been eating a lot of flowers and throwing them up. Oh fuck! He's stomping on my quartz now. All right, we'll get this back together. But let's see, up against Rogue, I'm not entirely certain how good Soul of the Forest is going to be here, right? You either want to be up against a very board-centric deck or a deck with AoEs, and I'm not really convinced that Rogue is going to be doing either of those. So I'm just going to go ahead and send away the Soul of the Forest. We'll hang on to these other 2 good early game plays. Ooh, nice pickup with the Blood Treant. Ooh, and the Herald of Nature turns up just in time to see us play a nature spell. So let's discover the cheap play. Typically looking for Death Rattle units off of this spell. It's going to put the unit onto the board. Don't have any here. We maybe have a Beast in the deck. I don't think so. I'm just going to take the Recombobulator. It should actually work with this guy, right? We can transform the blood treant into a different 5/5. Yeah, he says, or a different 5-cost unit. He says, yeah, no thanks, bust. I don't want anything to do with that. All right, so no complaints from me. Do we want to just go ahead and upgrade the recombobulator? That probably makes sense. It's not like we're getting a humongous upgrade in terms of price, but as we're facing down this opponent's weapon and stuff, no reason to just leave that little unit on the board. That was going to be sick, though, right? getting to recombobulate our blood treant. But coming together reasonably well. We have a nice. I was gonna say if he tries to develop with the unit, we're gonna have a nice round of summoning a treant and then giving everyone the bonus. We're gonna be a little bit short of the big infuse on the Plot of Sin, and so I have to see what turns up here. Not a lot of excitement. Let's get the unit, give him the bonus, get into combat. At least shuts down his weapon a little bit, presenting a lot of attack on board. I think it seems reasonable. Still don't quite know what these decks are trying to do. It's like, yeah, you're just playing cards I don't care about, I guess. Works for me. So now we should be able to get our 5/5s on board. Close to running out of stuff to do, though. A little frightening. But I think we'll be okay. Opponent agrees. He says bust has too much. GG. Ooh, speaking of all these trees, we get to get a tree cut down here soon. That's one of those things that reminds me, and it's just like, I get that home ownership is a pretty good deal, and it's nice to be in a situation to be able to do it when so many people are just priced out with how the home market has been since COVID came around. But I've got to drop 3 G's on getting a tree cut down here soon, and that's a real fucking delight. That's the thing that makes you just be like, god damn it. I guess I'm in for a bit on this one. It's a massive fucking dead tree. We're cutting down live trees. Don't be trying to worry about that. It's dead. Dead and dropping branches on our house. It's fucking delightful. Alright, though, back into this one. I think this is a reasonable construct game, and then we'll look to we'll look to get the Aerosoilizer down fairly quickly. And so as far as these cards go, definitely don't want to pick up the Darnassus Aspirant. Just coming down and losing a mana crystal when it dies. The Fog Sail Freebooter isn't particularly exciting. We're never going to have a weapon this game, but it's at least a 2/2 later as to where the spell damage unit probably not going to use. This guy running out here, getting all these cards down on the cheap, drawing a bunch of stuff. Do we want to just take down the peasant? Like, how far behind are we gonna be if we just let that guy go? Like, I was leaning towards, just getting the Soilizer on the board. It should, since it gives us 3 units, it should be okay, I think. Right, it's going to take a fair amount of work to take the 3 off of board. If he wants to trade out the peasant, then we kind of got what we wanted anyways. And then if he's going to do something with the hero power, he's going to be a little bit short. So I think this is fine. Getting down so much faster than us, though. Yeah, can we even afford to just get nugged for 5 in this space? I'm gonna be real, that feels pretty bad. It still feels better. Like our option in the previous turn was just a hero power as card draw unit. And it feels better than going for that, I think. I just imagine... I just imagine with taking 5 here, we're kind of fucked. He's able to boost this thing on board and just trade across. Yeah, this is going to be bad. Maybe we just took the wrong angle from the start and shouldn't have played the well... That's kind of tough. I was going to say maybe we should have just sown the soil and got the Treant on the first turn. But he would have been able to kill either unit with his hero power. That's tough though. He came out like he cheated on his mana so much harder than we were able to cheat on anything we could do. We just weren't able to recover from it. I mean, maybe the answer was to just to coin hero power on the first turn to take that 2/1 off of the board. He did get to draw quite a few extra cards with that, and a very decent chance he would have just ran out of stuff to do. Get there with a little more experience.
Feel the power of the wild world.
All right, up against what I assume is the mirror match. This is kind of an awkward spot when you have the double Treant start. That seems awfully greedy to me. We at least got to like cycle and try to find something a little bit card advantage-y to do, because just dropping 4 power of units on the board on the first turn probably isn't enough. Now he's not. He's not playing tokens, he's playing something else, so we can spew a little bit harder. And I feel okay putting the saplings on board since we have the Herald of Nature in hand. The Living Roots is a nature spell, so if we make it to the 3rd turn, we'll get to boost these units on board. There's some people coin hero powering, taking down the small fries. I typically disagree with that kind of play, but maybe it's okay on occasion. I mean, it still feels like a win for us. I'm not entirely certain what this deck is attempting to do. I assume it's going to be some kind of Reno Jackson number, but. Just him taking all the time to hammer down these little saplings doesn't feel ultra strong to me. I mean, maybe he just doesn't have anything else to do, which is fine, but... But we'll pivot away from the Herald of Nature. We can still get a pretty good one in the upcoming turns, especially if we pick up one of these 1-cost spells. If we pick up a Forest Seedling or a Cactus Construct or something, very easily fit in the curve. Did not. All right, right to that nugget zone. So it's a critical turn coming up, right? I think these people are typically playing like Reno Jackson, right? I'm still a bit lacking on what these people are able to do. Oh, uh-oh. He's going ham with the manas. But I was going to say there's a decent chance we can just finish the game next turn. No. Short. We don't have enough Treants to this point to invigorate, or to cultivate. But that has been one of the big things with this deck, right? See, the pain point on this next turn's opponent playing Reno Jackson and going back up to 30, but we just have so many ways to gain like infinite attack with these cultivations. It's wild. This annoying ass card. I remember when that thing was deemed to be too good. It's been a while since we've been in that space, huh?
I have too many minions.
All right, we got the clear there. Should I just? as I was playing like Legends of Runeterra, I got into such a bad habit where I was just a big clicker on the Hearthstone board. I just got really confused when I started clicking this keyboard thing down here at the bottom. I was like, where did the fuck that sound come from? And it was like, oh yeah, we're back to a game with clicky boards. But I used to just click so much that I used to click the end turn button quite a bit, and quite a bit in Runeterra while I was waiting on the opponent to do something. And it was typically not a good play. It was typically not ideal. And so, gotta remember we're out here in clicky land again. So what are you at, 15? We got 14 on board plus the hero power. I did that math all by myself. All right, GG. Get ourselves into a final battle. I think we've hit most of the highlights with this deck. That last game is one of the problems I really have at this point, is I struggle to determine when people are playing Reno Jackson decks. It used to be a lot more apparent to me. Like, I'm sure we'll get there eventually, but it was to be like, oh, we're playing, like this little sequence of cards just indicates that Reno is definitely going to be a possibility. And with games like that, I have trouble just kind of piecing it all together. And it'll take me a little bit of time to get there. All right, but what do we got? Not that great of a start. Lingering Zombie's fine, but I'd prefer to have a little bit more early game centric hand. Poor guy, this little undead Treant this little undead Taran looks so unhappy. Little lingering zombie. I feel sad for you, my friend. All right, let's go with the construct. See what turns up. Anything good? I'm gonna go with the Galaka Crawler. Maybe the priest of the deceased is probably the answer. There's a good chance it's going to come down cheap. It's like I try to envision in my head like what a rogue deck is going to look like, and just assume it's pirates, right? And so seeing the Galaka Crawler in there is just like, oh boy, here's our chance to come and hit the pirates down. But having these infuse cards into the deck that already has a bunch of infuse cards feels reasonable. Ugh. I don't like these turns where we're not spending mana, though. And is a bit of a turd. Got more stuff to click on now, though. It's the important thing to make focus on. Oh, this deck, this thing. I haven't seen these cards in a while. Man, we still just didn't find anything to do. And I guess this Herald of Nature is fine. We have played the nature card with it in hand, but I was like, oh, cool, he's played the Murloc, so we're just gonna draw into board width and it's gonna be fine. But we just drew into like the worst shit possible. We drew into the card draw unit, and then we hit the 6-cost spell that's gonna draw more cards. It's absolutely nothing near what we want to do. Now, historically, this is going back, 7 years. Fatigue Rogue was not particularly good at decks that could attack. Right, it was good against like Reno Jackson decks if you're trying to just play a super long game. And they didn't like it when you're out here just playing blood treants for free. And so we'll see if that's how it plays itself out. It still feels like we're in a decent spot. I don't know if people play stuff like Vanish. Right, Vanish is the kind of big way to cause problems with these cards. I don't know if it's a thing or not, but still coming in for the damages. got lethal on board if he doesn't do anything clever. Right? If he's gonna prep Vanish or something, that's where it would be problematic with what we've done. Give you a hero stealth. Didn't know that thing existed. That's fucking annoying. Well, that's annoying, huh? Alright, we'll just stop it here, I guess. I don't think if he vanishes these units and they get overdrawn out of our hand, that counts as a death rattle. I'm pretty certain your stuff has to just die on board. But gives us a bit of an out in that sense. And then I think things return left or right. There's a decent chance that we should have just put the Blood Treant out to the left. So that it would potentially... be the first card back to hand, and then we could just play it for free. So I have no idea what these secrets are going to be. I know there's a ton of them over here. I'm just going to go ahead and attack. See what happens. Hero becomes immune. That shit's annoying. I'm going to be real with you. It's not not the funnest ability to play against. Alright, what do we got? Split spell stuff. Probably just want to choose a spell thing. Reducing the cost of nature spells isn't the worst, I guess, though. I'm just kind of envisioning we would need a... we would need, like, a burn spell or something. I guess if he's just immune over and over again, it doesn't really matter, but... There's the Vanish. So it wasn't left or right. That must be a Runeterra thing. Oh, we did get some death rattles, though. Cool, so we just win? Is that what happened? Do we have the mana to just win? I don't think so. 1, 2, 4. Right, this gets us up to 8 damage. It's a nature spell, so this would get us up to 10. That's a bummer. Really needed to win in that space. I wonder. I was thinking earlier that the turn that we attacked and he had the thing that you become immune once you take damage. We did miss a point of damage on that turn. There's a handful of secrets, right? There's one to where you attack and then your unit attacks something else. I guess we just win the game if that's the card. But we're also looking towards that. That thing that we just win now. Do we set this up right? It's trouble finding enough treants to make this work. So now, oh my gosh, are we one short? We're one short. So it's like we can cultivate again. Then we have the Herald of Nature to give the extra points. We're one short. That's where it came down to. That 1 point from that unit earlier would have certainly got there. I'm at least kind of okay with this. We still have a fuckload of card draw in our hand. We can still, if like he has something to stop our attack or more Vanish-like cards, then we can still like draw 6 cards next turn and try to find a Living Roots or try to find a Natural Causes. And so it doesn't, feel completely out of the woods here. This is the kind of spot I would describe in Runeterra to where it feels like if your opponent has the stuff it takes to stop you on board, it's going to take all of their mana to do it. I feel pretty safe in that space. I don't think these Shadow Steps are going to be enough. We have pretty good protection from fatigue here. We're at 10 cards in deck at this point. Playing some cards that don't matter. He's just playing stuff now so he can put all his cards on the board before the game's done. Look at that. I spent 45 seconds playing cards, and now I'll concede. Alright, GG. Well played. We can pull this up and talk about it a little bit more. And so I feel like that was a pretty good sample of games. I've been pretty happy with this deck. It works quite well in the sense that, you know, as we were talking about Reno Jackson earlier, and I think that Bran, the thing that just doubles your battle cries for the rest of the game, I think those decks are exceptionally capable of like just gaining 30 and 40 and 60 health. And so one of the kind of classic problems with the aggro decks of the day is being able to deal that much damage, right? You can very easily deal 30, you can kind of deal 40, but you just run out needing to deal like 50 and 60 and 70 damage. And this deck is capable of doing it. You could see the size of our boards in the course of a lot of those games as to where it's like, all right, we have 2 7/7s and 4 6/6s on the board, and you're getting to attack for like 40 and 50 damage in a swing. And so it's able to, you know, carry that longevity while also still having these really resilient style of draws with all of the death rattles like the lingering zombie and the Aerosoilizer, and then the soul of the forest giving us units after they get killed. Like, it's just a very well-rounded deck that I've been quite happy with how it plays out, and the way the game sequence, and then having all of the kit that it needs to be good in the ladder format. Otherwise, it's also a very cheap deck. Like, if you flip through what's in here, it's like common or rare, common, 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 rare, common, common, rare, rare, common. And so there's no epics, there's no legendaries in it. And so if you are coming over from the space of Runeterra or something and you don't have much of a collection, this is one of the absolute cheapest things that you can get together and bring out to the ladder, while also just being one of the top decks. Nonetheless, good set of games. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So if everyone enjoyed the video, hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way. Had a good time watching. This is Bustin' B. Thank you for being here.